When I did leave the WWF at the time, Vince pretty much told me my run was over and the red and yellow was done. And that's where you can, turn to all, the Cena fans that never give up and just look at it and go, you know what, I did it for the money, And he would be one of the hottest heels ever.
Hulkster, so good to see you again.
Good to see you, brother. You look younger and bigger.
Younger and bigger?
So you're doing something right.
I've been eating my vitamins. I've been saying my prayers. I've been doing it all. Let me tell you something, dude. Chrisomania's been running wild, brother.
The training, the prayers, and the vitamins, believe it or not, that stuff actually works. If you actually do it and you change your life and stick to that, believe me, I know, because I've deviated, that stuff actually works.
It's not just a gimmick?
Well, it started out as a gimmick,
yeah,
but the gimmick was so powerful it made Terry Bollea a better person. It brought me up. So, as soon as I dialed it in and quit messing around with all the other craziness, it actually works.
Look at this spot you've got here, by the way. Thank you for inviting us to Hogan's Hangout right here in Clearwater.
Yes, sir.
And I've seen the videos you've posted on social media. Like, this is normally a lot of people here, karaoke spot. This is a pretty rocking spot.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like when I was growing up here, this used to be called Mandalay Surf. And all my kids, Nick and Brooke, would come in here and get the board shorts and the rollerblades and the surfboards and the wax. So for years, I was coming in here going, Bill, a guy named Bill, and I said, Bill, brother, if you ever want to sell this place, I'd like to grab it from you.
Yeah.
And he never wanted to sell it. And then many, many years later, fast forward 30 years later, he disappears, the place is vacant, and I got my hands on it. So, I wasn't really sure what to do with it, but I had a big club in Tampa called Hogan's Beach, where I'd have 3,000 and 4,000 people a night come. It was George Steinbrenner's old place. I bought from him. And so it got too crazy over there with all the electronic music, and after about 3.5 years, I walked away. And my golf cart's like a minute away. I live right down the road, so I got somebody to cook for me, and it's just so close to the house. It's fun to have my own little place there.
It might be the best kept secret that every Monday you're in here. So if anybody wants to meet Hulk Hogan, see Hulk Hogan, sing karaoke with Hulk Hogan, this is the spot. What's your karaoke song?
Well, I don't have one, but I had to shut Flair down. Flair came in here and he wanted to sing My Ding-a-Ling, okay? So that's it. Cut him off. I've got a gong. So if you cuss, that's the end of the song. But just the content of that song, because I do have kids in here.
Sure.
And I buy shots for everybody 2-3 times during the night, and the kids get milkshake shots. But it is like the best kept secret. But because we give away title belts every week, like to the best male singer, you get a title belt. The best female, you get a title belt.
Yeah.
Then we have quarterfinals. And at the quarterfinals, we give away cash, which was last week. And then once a year, we've got the undisputed champion, where we give away a lot of money. So it gets real competitive in here. And I've got people flying in from Jersey, from New York, from Vegas, just to come in to sing and go crazy in here. Jason Aldean's been in here. Of course, Rodman's been in here. It's been nuts.
I just want to thank you for being who you are. This is our 4th interview together. I appreciate that you always remember me. You're always super kind. It would be so easy for someone in your position to just sit in your very large, very nice house down the street and, just never interact with fans. But I just want to say on behalf of all fans, we appreciate you.
Well, brother, I don't have any choice but to think about you because you're everywhere, okay? So every time I pull my phone up, you're on there interviewing some really, really important people. So I'm just glad that you still remember me. So thank you.
Of course. The reason we got connected, at least for this interview, is because every time I interview Chris Hemsworth, I always have to bring up to him, what's going on with this Hulk Hogan movie? So I interviewed him about a year ago for a movie called Spiderhead. And he's like, I don't know. Todd Phillips is off making Joker 2. I'm not sure what's going on. Then I interviewed him for Extraction 2 a few months ago. And he's like, I'd still love to do it. I'd still love to play Hulk Hogan. Do you know what's going on with that movie?
Yes, I do. It was a situation where business-wise, Netflix kind of like missed a date, as far as a business situation. And so I had the choice at that time to switch gears. Scott Silver wrote the script. He wrote the Joker and did a bunch of different movies. And, of course, Todd Phillips has done the Joker, Wolf of Wall Street, and, whatever, all the crazy stuff that he did.
He did The Hangover.
The Hangover movies, thank you. I can't remember everything like that. But, the script came back. It was amazing. Because favorite movies are like Scarface, Godfather, True Romance. It was there.
Yeah.
It was there, and I just went, whoa. But all of a sudden there was a business glitch, you know, and then they tried to fix it a few days later, and I'd already decided to move on. So my life rights and stuff are somewhere else now, and there's a lot of things that are getting ready to happen. And hopefully Todd Phillips and Chris Hemsworth will still want to play. But there's still a huge opportunity there.
Did you have a say in who would play you? I would imagine you would.
Well, Chris was the one I always, even before we got into this, I said, if anybody ever played Hulk Hogan, I want to be Chris Hemsworth, you know. And then, you know, his birthday's the same day as mine. So we talked, I think, once about the whole situation. He was all excited because he told me he'd never played a real person before. You know, he was, oh my gosh, your life is so interesting. This is so crazy. This could be the biggest thing I've ever done. And Scott Silver, the writer who wrote the Joker, he goes, this is the most amazing script I've ever written. So it's powerful. It's in a different place, but there will be an opportunity for everybody to regroup.
Have you heard his Hulk Hogan? Can he do it, brother?
Can he do it? Well, I haven't heard that, but if we have the opportunity to work together, which I really hope we do, I'm going to be there every second of the day because I love guys like Chavo Guerrero, you know, who do a lot of TV wrestling and a lot of movie wrestling, but there's a mindset that, and I love Chavo to death, and he would be the guy I'd want to choreograph everything. He would be the guy. But as far as getting in Chris's mind with what I was thinking, why I did stuff, and why I moved to this corner, to that spot, and placement and timing, I'd like to be there to let him know what clicks in here, why I'm so crazy.
Yeah.
Lots more to get to with the Hulkster brother. But if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen this photo here, pumping up the pythons in the gym there, dude. No stranger, I'm a big fan of the gym. You might have seen this video in the cold plunge. I'm always doing whatever I can to give myself just that little bit of an edge in terms of my health. And I wanted to get a sauna. Then I saw how much a sauna cost. And then I realized that an infrared blanket like this one from Bond Charge would give me all of the same benefits and just a fraction of the cost. It really helps with detoxifying. I mean, especially if you've been eating badly or maybe you've had one too many drinks. It can also burn a lot of calories to help with weight loss. The sauna blanket works by raising your heart rate to that level of physical exercise, so you burn calories while you're just kind of hanging out. I mean, you can burn up to 600 calories in just one session with the Bond Charge infrared sauna blanket. It's super easy to set up. I mean, it sets up in less than a minute, heats up faster than any other infrared sauna blanket on the market. And I think the best part about it is it's really easy to clean. And there's this real feeling after you're done of just like, you're rested and you're relaxed. And I love that. Check it out for yourself, bondcharge.com/CVV. And when you use that promo code CVV at checkout, you'll get 15% off. They've got lightning fast shipping. You got a 12-month warranty. You've got nothing to lose, except some weight and a lot of sweat. Go check it out, bondcharge.com/CVV.
You talk about me being everywhere, which is very kind of you, but you are literally everywhere right now. And, you know, HulkHoganShop.com and what you're doing with cannabis, I feel like you're helping a lot of people out with that.
Well, I mean, you know, I've been down that road with the pain pills, you know. The last 12 years, I've had 25 surgeries. So, I mean, you know, the knees, the hips, 10 back surgeries, a couple shoulder surgeries, abdominal surgeries, orbital socket surgeries. So I know what it's like when the doctor goes, here's a prescription, you know, and, you know, I mean, sometimes when you're in such pain after 7, 8, 9, 10 back surgeries, you'd rather just jump off a cliff than live another day. So it's real easy to fall into that situation. And, you know, a lot of other wrestlers that have passed away have fallen into that situation.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people that have been deployed to Afghanistan and Kuwait that, you know, have serious issues. So it's just like a more natural way to walk things back, a more natural way to get on track and get back to normal. So it makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons for me.
How much pain are you in right now?
That's kind of funny because I had a physical therapist ask me yesterday, if you could be out of pain or you could have a perfect championship walk, what would you rather have? And I said, I'd rather have the walk. She goes, you're out of your mind. I said, yes, I am, because everything hurts. Like just like it's hard to explain. Like if I'm going to brush my teeth and I'm leaning on the counter brushing my teeth, I can't push away. So when I'm done brushing my teeth, I have to lean in like that and then pull back. You know, I can't push like a glass door open. Everything in the gym is short strokes. You know, I can't straighten my arms out.
Yeah.
And then it's the same with my knees, my hips, my back, my neck. You know, but that's because I probably wrestled too long and I didn't get the memo that stuff was fake. You know, so, and I don't complain about it because, you know, like I was telling Sky, the lady I'm getting ready to marry tomorrow.
Congratulations. This will be out, so you'll already be married. Congratulations.
Well, that's okay. She goes, well, how much pain are you in? I said, well, I'm in pain all the time, but I'm used to it. You know, and my go-to in the morning just to get me rolling is 2 cups of coffee and 2 Tylenols, and then that's it. That's as far as I go as far as the pain pills go. But I could probably lose the Tylenols at this point because they don't do much.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like a habit now to eat 2 Tylenols with 2 cups of coffee.
And where do your edibles work into all of this?
For sleeping, you know, sleeping, because I don't like not to be normal, you know, and clear-headed. So if I can't sleep or have a hard time sleeping, you know, I'll wake up after 2 hours and bite 1.5 or something, and it just knocks me out like a baby.
Yeah.
But I found that I'm not real good with not being normal. So if I got a little buzz on or something and my phone rings, oh my gosh, it's my son Nick, I don't want to answer it. You know, so I'm not used to that feeling yet.
Is it difficult being Hulk Hogan? And I mean that by, you can't go incognito. You are recognizable all around the world. So wherever you go, people are going to know who you are.
Well, it's not difficult anymore because I thank God it's still happening. You know, it's kind of like when the Make-A-Wish stuff started coming. You know, I had the gimmick, you know, Venice Beach, California, never lived there. Just trained there. You know, I'm from Florida, from Clearwater. Yeah. Venice Beach, California, the training pros and vitamins. And it was like an Undertaker gimmick, or it was like the American Nightmare gimmick, or it was like the Ninja Daniel Bryan. You know, it was just a gimmick. But all of a sudden, because I'd hit on all 8 cylinders with a very, very positive character, and when I still had a little hair left and I was golden tan, I did look like the guy from California, Venice Beach. And so all of a sudden, before I knew it, I had these Make-A-Wish kids coming to me. Okay, what's this all about? This is weird. I'm not used to this. And then as the years went by, I'd go at 3, 4, 5 Make-A-Wish kids a night. I got used to it. I started appreciating it. And then the third phase was the kids were still coming. Like when I went to the 30th anniversary of Raw, they had some Make-A-Wish. Sue Aitchison wanted to see some Make-A-Wish kids. And you thank God it's still happening. Yeah. You know, so that's kind of like, it's not hard to be Hulk Hogan because I appreciate it so much. I could be a wrestler that I walk down the street and nobody recognizes me, you know. Yeah. But it's a situation, you know, like Stallone says, man, I walk next to you, Hogan, I'm invisible, you know. And so it's really cool now to have the mindset and have the wisdom to go, oh my gosh, these people have stuck with me through thick and thin, through the good times, the bad times. They come up to me and they tell me how much they love me. I didn't have a dad growing up, or I was hooked on drugs. I was in an abusive family. And I'm going, oh my God. While I was saying the training, prayers, and vitamins and wrestling and doing my thing, it was helping them survive their personal situations. And so I've got so much respect for the character and so much respect for the people that are still with me. I had no idea how intense it really was until my latter years. And it took that long for me to collect all this information to go, oh my gosh, what a great find this was to be Hulk Hogan. Yeah. So it's not hard for me to be Hulk Hogan anymore because I just can't move past people without stopping or talking with them. And when we have like autograph sessions at my store downstairs, my buddy Ron Howard's about churning and burning. But when I shake somebody's hand, where are you from, brother? Yeah. How long have you been a fan? I like to look at him and talk to him. And Ron's like, man, if you wouldn't talk so much, we could make more money. I said, I don't care about that. Yeah. These people spent 30 or 40 years being my fan. I want to know why. Yeah. So it's not hard to be Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, you make the moment special. And I know that fans appreciate that. I remember our second interview, I was like, thank you for still doing interviews because you're at a level where you don't really need to anymore. And you're like, of course, I'm at that level now because I continue to do the interviews.
Yeah, well, when I met Sky, you know, my new wife as of tomorrow, she really wasn't a wrestling fan because her parents were really strict, and I guess they knew who I was, but they didn't know the whole gimmick, you know? And so she didn't understand, you know, the dynamics of, you know, hanging around me, you know, and I didn't want to run her off because I was very attracted to her. But some of the Hulk Hogan stories, like, oh my gosh, my dad says hello. He played basketball with you for 15 years in Venice Beach. Well, tell your dad I said hello, but I've never played basketball. And I don't want to say, hey, kid, your dad's a liar. I mean, you know, you just can't go there.
Yeah.
But I think she's to the point now where she understands that the people have been endeared by this character so much.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a Hulk Hogan story, whether it's good or bad, true or false. They tell that story, and sometimes I wonder, what are they still getting out of that story? Like a lot of wrestlers will tell stories about me that I hear, and it's just not true. Some of the guys are main event guys, and I hear these stories, I'm going, I wonder what they're still getting out of telling that story.
You mean the negative stories?
Some of the negative ones, yeah.
Like there's a lot of, and I'm sure you've heard it all the time, that doesn't work for me, brother. And I'm like, did that actually happen in all of these situations? I don't know.
What do you mean?
You know, there's a lot of people that will tell stories about like, oh, this happened with Hulk Hogan in TNA or WCW. It's like, we don't know if that actually happened or not.
Well, if I knew the individual stories, I could tell you
sure.
the truth whether it happened. But that was my catchphrase. That doesn't work for me, brother. You know, like there were several times when Ric Flair and I were traveling, and we do like the Maple Leaf Gardens, the main event, and then there'd be like Brantford, Ontario, which I would always make the double shot. But every once in a while, I had other stuff to do.
Yeah.
So I'd say, Rick, take my car, you know, jump back on the plane because that doesn't work for me, brother. But that was my go-to line, you know.
We'll get back to the conversation in just a second, but there's one thing I've noticed with all top performers. They all focus on getting a great night's sleep. So if you're having trouble reaching the top, maybe it's time to start looking at your sleep health. An essential part of waking up and actually feeling well rested is sleeping on a great mattress. And that's where our friends at GhostBed come in. For over 2 decades, this family-owned business has been crafting premium, innovative mattresses with a focus on quality and cooling. Each bed in the GhostBed line is a reflection of years of craftsmanship and finished with materials like contouring gel memory foam and cool-to-the-touch quilted covers. And they are also known for having some exceptional sales. So that means you're getting a top-of-the-line product at a very reasonable price. And when you use the code CVV, you'll get 40% off. Yeah, 40% off your purchase. And you get to try it for 101 nights. So 101 nights sleep trial, along with free shipping and returns when you purchase a mattress. And you can do it from the comfort of your own home or wherever you're watching this right now. And GhostBed has a dedicated team of sleep experts on standby to help you find your perfect bed. Just head to ghostbed.com/CVV to get started.
When was the last time you shaved your mustache?
I think Kevin Sullivan did it in a WCW ring with that whole Dungeon of Doom thing. I think that Kevin shaved it in the middle of the ring, and then
that was the last time.
I think.
So we're going mid-90s here.
I think, yeah. And I mean, I have shaved it off for a couple movies when I did the Assault. You probably never saw them. A bunch of low-budget movies, the Assault on Devil Island movies with Carl Weathers and Shannon Tweed. I was Mike McBride, and I had a black wig on, the color of your hair, a long wig like a ex-Navy SEAL, and I had the mustache off. So people still would go, hey, Hulk Hogan. I said, okay. I mean, I'd go into a restaurant for lunch with a black wig and a mustache. They'd still nail me.
I mean, come on. You're very recognizable. And you look great, by the way.
I'm trying, bro. I'm 70 years old. I just turned 70. And my new wife put this crazy surprise party on for me. And nobody's ever done that for me before. They've never surprised me with a party.
Wow.
I was crying like a baby. Oh, my gosh. I couldn't believe it.
I saw that video.
Oh.
I'm like, that seemed really special.
Yeah, it was amazing. You know, a lot of the guys there, Haku was there, and Flair and the Nasty Boys.
Yeah.
Big show. It was really amazing, man. What a night.
So I've told you this many times, but I love talking about WrestleMania 18.
Yeah.
It's my favorite WrestleMania match. It's my favorite WrestleMania. It's my favorite match of all time. I was 18 years old when I went there, and I got to be honest with you. I was fully going in intending to cheer for The Rock.
Cool.
And then your music hit, and I went, I'm a Hulkamaniac. And I cheered for you.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about whatever part about.
We could talk for 3 hours about WrestleMania 18, I feel like.
Yeah, what do you need to know?
what were your expectations before you went out for that match? Because leading up to it, the stare downs that you guys had were so iconic. So, when you guys are, your music finally hits, what were your expectations?
Well, to get there, there's a huge backstory, okay? And the backstory is working for Ted Turner 9 or 10 years, trying to put Vince out of business, basically trying to beat him in the ratings and do whatever we could to be competitive. Because when I did leave the WWF at the time, Vince pretty much told me my run was over and the red and yellow was done. And after the Warrior beat me, there were a couple of years. Well, actually, after the Warrior beat me that night, he said, well, I'd give him the belts. And I go down the aisle. Let me do the Three Stooges. Slowly I turned. And let me go ground him and crucify him. I want to be Triple H, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Oh, you can't do that. You can't be a heel. I said, brother, your dad brought me in as a heel. Of course I can do it. No. So a couple years later, as I kept floundering around there, Vince pretty much told me my run was over. I went, oh, really? And so I went and did Thunder in Paradise, and when I get bored with doing that craziness, went to WCW and did what I did there. And then it was a situation where I was in a hotel room in New York called the Parker Meridian, and I was actually sitting on a toilet doing number 2, right? And then my phone rang, and I saw Triple H on the phone. And I went, whoa, that's interesting. So I picked the phone up, and I go, what's up, brother? And he goes, oh, man, how you doing? I said, we heard your contract is done, this and that and the other, whatever the verbiage was.
Yeah.
Vince would like to talk to you. So I said, oh, cool, And so one thing led to another. And before I get to WrestleMania 18, the backstory was the verbiage with me and Vince is things have changed up here. And which I kind of knew that The Rock and Stone Cold were the two guys that they catered to.
Right.
Because before, during the day, when they'd go out to the ring, it'd be Hulk Hogan, this is what we're doing, that's what we're doing. Now I knew it wasn't my time, but it was the new guys. So I already knew that. But Vince went, oh, no, you're coming up here. You got to really bring it. I was like, okay. I mean, I got to run faster, jump higher. What do you mean really bring it? So I knew what he meant. The work rate was quicker and faster and stuff, which to me doesn't mean anything. My thought, and I didn't say it, but if you want me to bring it, you're going to be asking me to take it back, because but I would never do anything under mine to hurt the boys or to hurt Rock. But I just kept my mouth shut, and the backstory still was, I think they didn't think I could pull it off. Or I think they thought that maybe I wasn't up to snuff to be Hulk Hogan, so they wanted me to go down to Miami and rehearse the match, which I've never done in my life. And so I went down there, and Rocky Johnson was there, my boy, and Pat Patterson was there, and there was this ring in a warehouse, and it was 100 degrees plus. And The Rock told me everything he wanted to do and walk around and go here and there and spit his fist, and he'd go over the top rope, go through all the stuff. The match was pretty much laid out. And then Rocky Johnson went, Dwayne, listen to Hogan. Rocky was just like cheering for me, which was kind of funny because he was a good friend of mine the whole time we were in the WWF. And then Pat Patterson said, okay, Telly, let's go to the match, Telly. And I went, are you kidding me? He said, if I fall down in here, I'm going to get hurt. I can't wrestle with no people here. He goes, yeah, you got it. Vince, why don't you go to the match? I said, I can't do it. I said, believe me, we get in front of 20, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 people, I'll be fine. And so, I was kind of wondering that if this whole thing is planned out, what if you start doing this and the people fart at it? Are you going to keep doing what you planned out? And so I really didn't say much. And then we were in the dressing room, and Rock and I were actually in the same dressing room that night. Not a lot of conversation, but Rocky Johnson was in there. Dwayne, listen to Hogan. Thanks. So we get out there, and I fully expected them to boo me out of the building after hitting him with a hammer, putting him in the ambulance, running him over with a semi.
Yeah.
I did everything I could to get
I remember that. I remember you running him over in the semi. It's like, let's lay the smacked on him, nWo style.
Yeah, well, in the ring, he said, WrestleMania, yes or no?
Yeah.
And when I said yes, I went to pull away. He held my hand.
Yeah.
And he pulled me in and rock bottomed me.
Yeah.
And I brought Kevin Scott in, and then we beat him like a dog. Fully expected to get booed. Come walking out the ramp, heard the crowd, and went, oh my gosh, Lucy, we got a problem. The people were cheering like crazy, just loyal, over the top loyal. Then we got in the ring, and I remember we started and pushed him. We did stare down, which, of course, we didn't rehearse that. That was just done. And then out of nowhere, I think he pushed me or I pushed him. I can't remember. But I know as soon as he started to take over on me like he planned, the people started booing him out of the building. Then I cut him off and took over, and it took me about 7 or 8 minutes to get it right, and then we kind of slow danced through it, and it was a miracle. He was so good. He was so good with the timing and the placement, and just just to listen to the crowd with his ear and his heart. And once we got on the same page, I could have danced with him all night. It was just really easy, and put him over is not a big deal. And, it could have went either way, but it didn't matter. Yeah. It was the art form again, which usually the art form is dead, but we went back to the dance of what this business is really about.
There's a moment early on where you push him down and the crowd erupts in cheering. And you kind of look around almost like, because you've been booed for the last 6 years, 5 years, whatever it had been. It's almost like, that's what it feels like to be cheered again.
Yeah, and it was really cheap heat for me to acknowledge the crowd. But I was just trying to get this thing to a fever pitch so that when he grinded me and beat me, he really beat somebody important. I didn't want to pass the torch to some lukewarm, worn out old wrestler.
Yeah.
I wanted to pass the torch to a guy that was like the biggest star in this business, and I just beat the biggest guy ever in this business. That's where my mindset was. If we're going to send him off, let's make sure we send him off the right way. And I've never been in the ring with anybody that could call an audible like him and be that open and giving. A lot of guys will freak out and tighten up on you and not go for a spot, but he was there for everything.
Did you know that the nWo was going to turn on you after that match?
Yeah. I knew they were coming down.
Was it because of the result of you being cheered the whole match? Was that an audible that was called at some point?
Yeah, the referee told me they were coming down.
Mike Chioda.
Yeah, the referee told me they were coming down. And all I remember is being on my knees and looking up at Big Kev. Kevin's got both arms over his head with a chair, and he's like, And I'm like, oh my God, he's marking out. And I never put my hand up. And I put my forearm up, bro. And he hit my forearm, and I went in the back and said, Kevin, what is going on, bro? He goes, I never thought I was going to hit Hulk Hogan with a chair. I said, we've been working together. We've been working together for the last 7 or 8 years. I'm your boy. He goes, yeah, but it was WrestleMania, and I had to lay down. But yeah, but if I hadn't put my arm up, he'd have killed me. But yeah, we laughed about it afterwards. But I thank God I looked in his eyes to see that he wasn't even there. But it was a lot of fun. And then Vince ordered me to go back and get the red and yellow immediately.
So from Toronto, and I think the next stop was it Montreal?
Yeah. So we wanted to send somebody back, and I said they'll never find my stuff, and they will not bring the right stuff. So I flew back and got the red and yellow stuff, and then flew right back. flew all night that night on Vince's jet to get back to Tampa, to get home to dig through storage, to get the stuff and get my butt back up there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was intense, man.
Wow.
And my whole reason for going up there was, of course, to wrestle The Rock, and of course, heels are meant to be beat. It was a fluke. I slipped on a banana peel. He could never do it again, whatever. I could have kept my heat because my whole intention was to have that 2-year run with Stone Cold because he was red hot at the time, and I was dying to get in his shorts, man, and make some money, And so it was kind of like, because I know Steve had some physical issues and stuff with his nerves and his legs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just like, the air was let out of the balloon when I didn't get a chance to run with him.
Yeah.
That would have been crazy.
Let's take it back to when you did turn heel in WCW. When you're backstage there and you're about to join Hall and Nash, form the nWo, turn heel for the first time in however long that was, what's going through your mind?
Well, first off, we didn't tell anybody.
Nobody.
No, Hall and Nash didn't know if I was coming or not.
They didn't know who the third man was.
Well, there was a possibility because Eric I was filming a movie out in L.A., and Eric had approached me about turning heel. And no, brother, it doesn't work for me right now. I was making really good money there, guaranteed money, and I just wanted to keep things going the way they were, even though the red and yellow thing was starting to lose a little bit of luster. And it was getting old. And I saw, Scott come out and I went, that's like a shoot. you know, and I'm watching this from L.A., and then Big Kev came out and power bombed Eric to the table. I called Eric up and said, hey, I'm your third man. He goes, oh, thank God, because we were going to go with Sting. I said, bro, you can't go with Sting. He's not WWF from head to toe. It's in my blood. I mean, I'm the guy. So Eric didn't want to tell anybody, you know, so up until the time I went to the ring, Eric goes, Hogan's not here yet, which of course I was outside hanging out. Hogan's not here yet, and if he doesn't come, we're sending Sting. So Scott and Kevin went not knowing if I was coming, right? So it's really weird because when I look back at the tape, I know Eric was talking about, oh yeah, well, we spent time outside and we discussed the promo and stuff, and I don't remember any of that because I just went out, and when Mean Gene came in, it was, let me tell you something, Mean Gene, I just rolled with my normal crap, you know, I was selling out the world, and you guys are bumming gas to get to high school. I just rolled with one of my heel promos, you know, and it was, I never think about what I'm going to say until I get out there.
Yeah.
So, you know, everything was really cool, and all of a sudden I felt that cold white heat where it got silent for a minute, and they started throwing stuff. I told Mean Gene, I said, you need to go, bro. You need to get out of the ring because we may have a riot in here. And then his nose was bleeding. He got hit with something, and he kept his head down. He was scared. I said, bro, you need to run because if we start lighting this place up, we could have a riot here because it was that type of heat I hadn't felt for a long time.
Yeah, that didn't really happen in WWF where fans would throw things into the ring. That happened in WCW with you guys all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it pissed everybody off, that's for sure.
But you guys also turned this whole idea on its head of like, heels don't sell merch. Well, people are still wearing NWO stuff now.
Yeah, well, that was my whole thing, you know, because, you know, other than the art form of this business, the guys working together, I mean, you know, this is a business, you know. So for me, everybody says, oh, this is a work. Well, it's not a work. This business is a shoot, you know, because if I'm wrestling Stone Cold Steve Austin and we're the main event and he makes more money than me, that's a shoot to me, you know. So I've always been on my game as far as, you know, the best wrestler is the one that makes the most money. I don't care who's the best worker, or who does this or that better. This is a business, so the best wrestler is the guy that makes the most money. So this business has always been a shoot to me. You know, so when I first went to New York, Vince McMahon Sr. always paid the champion more than anybody else. He would pay Backlund more than anybody he wrestled. You know, whether it was a couple grand more or twice as much. So I did the best I could to hang on to that for as long as I could. You know,
it's interesting how, like, John Cena has talked about how he wanted to turn heel and Vince was like, no.
Yeah.
Roman turning heel ended up being the best thing for his career. If you were able to give John Cena advice about that, would you tell him to turn heel when he was at his prime?
Well, the thing was, when you're at your prime, that's where you can, you know, turn to all, you know, the Cena fans that never give up and just look at it and go, you know what, I did it for the money, you know. And he would be one of the hottest heels ever.
Yeah.
And then, you know, whether it was run of 6 months or 6 years or 2 years, when you repent and you beg for forgiveness, he would be hotter than he was before as a babyface. So it's a natural flow that once you get the vibe, you know, out there and you kind of like feel the crowd, you can tell, you know. And John could probably tell better than Vince once he's out there.
Yeah.
Now, I know Vince has been in the ring a lot, and he's very good because I've been in the ring with Vince, and he's one of the best heels I've ever worked against. Everything he does hurts, though. I can tell you that much. God.
What hurts the most from Vince?
His punches. They're brutal. I mean, I was in WrestleMania 19 doing this all night long. Lighten up, brother. Lighten up, brother. I'm on the team with you. I'm lighting up. You keep doing that, you're going to be in here by yourself. I was giving him the office all night to the point where we started laughing, you know. And, but yeah, he's, and when I told him to go up on that ladder on the outside to drop the leg on the table, he goes, you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. Go up there. You know, and he did it. First time he did it. It was perfect.
Last year, you had talked about how you were close. It was a possibility of you working WrestleMania 39. How close were we to getting that match?
But last year?
WrestleMania 39, you talked about with Shane.
Well, Shane called me.
I would be this year, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, well, Shane had called me, and he sent me a picture from Madison Square Garden. I guess they got a Hall of Fame walk in there. And I guess Piper's boots are in there and some of my stuff's in there. So Shane sent me a picture of him standing in front of my stuff. He goes, "Hey, old timer, you got one left in you?" I went, "Okay, what are you thinking?" He goes, "Well, I didn't know if you had one left in you or maybe a surrogate such as Nick, my son." And so we started talking, you know, and I said, the only way I could do anything was if I was in the middle of the ring and you just came to me, because I can't run, I can't hit the ropes. I have a hard time really walking distance. Taking a bump, if I got up, I'd have to roll to my left. I can't roll to my right. The only way I can get up is if I roll to my left to get up for some reason. So it would be a stretch. But, you know, Nick was in Rikishi's school for a couple of years, and he was in there with Rusev and all those guys.
Yeah.
And I would go out in California and watch him, and Nick had it figured out. Then he blew both of his shoulders out. And I said, well, you know, I don't know. There's a possibility maybe to do something, whatever the storyline is, whether Nick is a heel and you destroyed my father's career, so I'm going to destroy your personal life, or I don't know. There's a million ways. Shane and I talked about it. There's a million ways to do it, but then a couple weeks later, Shane got hurt or something with his quad.
Oh, that was at WrestleMania.
Oh, is that where it was? Yeah. But anyway, the idea.
Did a leapfrog and landed on it.
Yeah. So anyway, that whole idea, I don't know how. I just never heard from him again. So that was pretty much it.
How close were we to getting your last match in WWE? Because as we sit here right now, your last match is in TNA, right? I think it's a 6-man match in like 2012.
You know, I really don't remember what the last match was.
But I feel like that's such a shame, because you're one of the greatest of all time. I feel like you should have one of those last matches against another one of the greats.
I would have loved to have had that last match, but now it's completely out of the picture. You know, I'm just too beat up from the surgeries and stuff. I think if I took a couple of bumps, you'd probably have to cut on me again. You know? But no, I really wanted to have that last match. You know,
against who?
And I wasn't sure. You know, I think it was WrestleMania 25 was in Orlando.
So I think the talk was Cena, right?
Yeah, and Vince had me all hooked up with Cena, and I said I'd do it. And Vince and I were talking every week, and we were putting the plans together, you know, like the old days when I was in the office every day. Him and I were talking every day. All of a sudden, I'm on the phone with Vince. I was like, oh my God. Oh, my back. My back went out when I was talking to Vince on the phone. And I just had back surgery number 3 or 4 at that time. And I had to go right in immediately and get cut on. So that was it for that. But I thought that was going to be my last match then, you know, but that never happened. And then it just kind of like faded away.
But then TNA happened after that. You wrestled, you know, a bunch of matches there. Was there ever a point during your TNA run when you were still able to work that you could have called up Vince and said, let's do this, one more?
I don't know if you saw the TNA run. There were several times I was out in the ring with a back brace on, neck collar, back surgery 8 or 9 or whatever it was at the time. But yeah, it was. I wasn't really good to go after that. I'd been cut on so much and so often that they'd compromised the structure of my spine. You know, and that they'd cut so much bone away and put so many screws in and stuff that it was just. It wouldn't be worth taking a chance at this point.
With all of that said, and the way that you feel physically right now, is there anything in your career that you would go back and change?
Well, you know, I've talked about this with a lot of people, and everybody goes, no, I would never change anything. But I know the leg drop doesn't look like a tough move, but most people don't realize is I started wrestling in 77. And at the end of the day, the equipment wasn't like it was. Like I remember wrestling in Andre in Baltimore. He goes, boss, don't fall down. It was a 22-foot boxing ring, and it was like a concrete road that had bumps and holes in it and lumps. I mean, it was the most dangerous ring I'd ever been in Baltimore. And whenever I wrestle Andre there, he would say, do not go down. You know, because I had to wrestle more nights after that. He didn't want me hurt. And most of the equipment was just every ring was different. Now the WWE is so dialed in. They've got really good rings. They're all very consistent. It's just like, you know, it makes a big difference when you're in equipment that's really, really good stuff. So all those years dropping that leg in those rings, you know, with the board sticking up or landing on my tailbone. Oh my God, what was that? A rock in the ring? Oh my God, was that a board sticking up? All those years dropping the leg, I would have changed that, and I would have never dropped the leg because at the time, my arms were almost 24 inches. I had like the largest arms in the world. You know, some people say I didn't, some people say I did, but My arms were big, and I should have used the sleeper. No bump. Brutus, go figure out another finish. Greg Gagne, go take a hike. I should have, stolen the sleeper and done that.
Yeah.
And I think I'd have been in a lot better shape with my spine and my back.
Where does Terry end for you and Hulk Hogan begin, and vice versa?
Well, it's kind of like to come down here and talk with you.
Yeah.
I've got the bandana on my head.
Yeah.
And when I walk out of the house, the mailman was out there delivering another package for my new wife.
Amazon? My wife does this all the time.
I don't get it. There's like 6 or 7 packages out there. None of them are for me. I mean, every day.
That sounds so familiar.
I'm like, what's going on, Sky Baby? So the guy from Amazon's there. He goes, hey, what's up, Hulk? And I go, hey, brother, how you doing, man? So I give him just a little.
Sure.
And then when I come down here, I get out of the car and come up here. Oh, Mr. Hogan, you have on? Sure, brother, get over here. And so they don't want me to go, hey, guys, how you doing? I'm Terry. But it ends when I walk in the house. When I walk in the house, the bandana comes off my bald head. The Hulk Hogan gimmick's done. I mean, I know a lot of wrestlers, and I don't want to drop names, but I know a lot of wrestlers that have their title belts in the house, and they've got pictures all over the house. None of that stuff is in my house, because it's a business, and that's not who I am. I mean, one of my favorite people in the world was Randy Savage. We had an 8-year blowout, and thank God we finally got together before he passed, but he was I was with him every day because he lived right down the beach. And we just he was like my brother for years. But he never would come out. And first off, his voice was like that always. But he kept thinking like the Macho Man. Let's go get something to eat, brother. Maybe we walk down the beach, and might see something a little different. Yeah. I mean, Randy, stop. But he was like that constantly. And, I love Ric Flair to death, but he's Ric Flair 24/7. Love him to death. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, when I go home, I don't want to self-destruct. I don't want to say, oh my gosh, I can't live if I don't hear the crowd, or if I don't have the money, or I don't have the adulation, or that fix, every night going in the ring and hearing that craziness, which that's hard to come off of. That's the hardest part, to get that every night and then not to have it anymore.
Yeah.
That's why I got a gym in my house, because that turbulence sometimes will build up about 10:30, 11 o'clock to where I feel like I could go out and be an axe murderer. And I go down and I just train myself so hard, I wear myself out. It's just weird how you get inundated with that business.
Yeah.
So you got to find ways to work around it,
Do you have a great Macho Man story? Being his friend for so long?
I got a couple, but, for many years when I was married the first time, I'm still into cars. I still do a lot of stuff with old cars, and I get warehouses everywhere full of junk, but actually good stuff. And, Randy met a buddy of mine, Tony Carlini, out in Newport Beach, and Tony did all the prototypes of the Iacocca. He did the LeBaron, the K-car, the Viper, the Prowler.
Oh, wow.
And I would go in his garage, and you have a Viper with a full-scale clay car with a popsicle stick carving out the door handles. I said, Tony, that's the ugliest car I've ever seen. Of course, I bought the first one, right? So Randy goes, hey, I'd like to get a Lamborghini, And Tony had just cars everywhere. He goes, would you ever sell me a black Lambo? Looks like Don Johnson's. So Tony goes, yeah, Randy, I'll sell it to you. So all of a sudden, the Lambo shows up here, and Randy lived right down the beach, a couple miles. And Randy calls me up, hey, Hogan, I got screwed. I said, what do you mean? My hat box won't fit in the front of the car. And I'm not a import guy. I'm Dodge, Mopar, American made, American muscle. I'm like, what do you mean? Don't worry, I'm coming over. We'll work it out. Bro, his hat box wouldn't fit in the front of the car. This Lamborghini had the engine in the back.
Yeah, like in the trunk. Yeah.
And I guess the front was the trunk, but he had a hard shell case for his cowboy hats, and we couldn't close it. I want my money back. My hat wouldn't fit in the car. I'm like, are you kidding? He was dead serious. I had to call Tony and say, brother, would you please give this guy his money back? He's going to drive me crazy. He thinks we screwed him over, but it was just really weird. The only other one I'll tell you real quick is it was kind of weird because I've been a boating guy my whole life. I've lived on the water, diving, fast boats. My whole thing is I am the real beach bum of all beach bums. And of course I had a boat and I had a bunch of Harleys. So Randy went out and bought a boat with Elizabeth. I had to teach him how to keep it between the channel markers, which was, it's like trying to teach somebody, trigonometry, but I finally got him to where he was safe. I said, just take this boat out at high tide. Do me a favor. So, Liz was actually a little better with the boat than Randy was, but then he wanted a Harley. And I said, are you sure? So, of course, Tony Carlini was the Harley guy also. And I got Randy a Harley at rock bottom price, that he wanted. And we got it in his driveway, and I just kind of showed him how to feather the clutch, nice and easy. Don't give it a lot of gas, but just roll out through the driveway and just do a little circle and come back, and don't try to shift gears. Bro, he got on that Harley, and he just let the clutch out and jumped, and when the bike tipped, he put his leg out, and he pulled his groin muscle. Oh, that's it. Very funny, Hogan. Take this effing motorcycle back. He never rode it.
What?
He jumped it with the clutch, letting the clutch out. The bike leaned on him. He tried to save it, and he did, and he tore something in his groin, and that was it.
Wow.
We had to take the bike back, too.
There's a photo of you that makes the rounds on social media where you're in WCW cutting a promo in the ring, and you're wearing a necklace that's made out of paper clips. Do you remember why you were wearing a necklace made out of paper clips?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
That's fantastic.
I have no idea.
You don't know what I'm talking about?
Must have been some kid that gave it to me or something.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. No. One of the best things about you in WCW is you had the greatest heel entrance music of all time.
Yeah.
Whose idea was it for Voodoo Child?
I think that was Eric's idea. I don't think I came up with that one. That was, well, the nWo music, the porno music. That was Scott or Kevin's, one of those two crazies. But the Hendrix stuff had to be Eric's, because I don't remember coming up with that one.
It's just so good, like the cadence in which you walk to the ring, playing the air guitar and the title.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, man. I admit it was really fun doing that nWo run, especially when everybody thought I was kind of like done,
I mean, you turned it around.
Yeah, it was great.
Absolutely incredible. What's your favorite part about your TNA run?
The favorite part about my TNA run, and this is a real self-serving answer, was how kind Dixie Carter was to me. Because from the moment I walked in there, I was getting cut on. Surgery after surgery after surgery after surgery. And all I can say is I was never in that situation, but I didn't expect her to pay me when I was out. Like, I'd give a hip replacement, I'd be out for 2.5 months, and she'd still pay me every week. So it was just amazing, how, consistent she was and how kind she was. And that was the thing that stood out more than anything, was working for her. A lot of people knocked her because she didn't know the wrestling business, or it was a hobby to her and stuff like that. But all I know is how she treated people and how she treated me was the thing that really stands out, was the type of person Dixie Carter was.
With everything you've done in your career and becoming the icon that you are, how do you define success now?
Well, it's a little different, now, because being happy is just something that you can't trade money for, and your health is so important. It's kind of like, I've done a lot of stuff, like, certain people ask me, well, do you want to travel here or do you want to go there? Well, actually, I have been there. I have traveled there. Even though I did wrestle in Rome, I did spend a day looking around. Even though I was, over in, wherever, Germany, I did spend days in the towns. But at the end of the day, being happy, because for so long I was searching, for something that made me really, really happy. And then as the years, and I don't know why this happens, but I think it's a test of time or a test of faith, or you have to get so many scars on you before you finally wake up. But, I was saved when I was 14 in a Baptist church, and I deviated, and I went off track and ran amok and chased all these false idols of the money and the fame and all this stuff. But as soon as I got back to being closer to God and closer to my Lord and Savior, my whole life changed, and being happy, and being on track and having your health is really, really important because, I mean, I know a lot of people that have one back surgery and they end up in a wheelchair. You know, so for me to have 10 and be sitting here talking to you and not be on a bunch of pills and pain pills and weird stuff like that, it's just amazing, you know, to be happy and to be here.
You definitely feel like you're at peace as we sit here right now. Like, it just feels like everything's good in your world.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's, you know, I'm not into the drama anymore. You know, I'm not into people that judge people. And I know this just sounds like some holier than heck attitude, but I've been around so long now. I've seen the pyramids. Never have seen them, but I've seen the pyramids. And I kind of like understand, you know, why we're here. And this is a test of faith, and it's just a real temporary situation, you know. And whether I make another 20 or 30 million bucks or not, it doesn't matter, you know, because been there, done that, you know, and it doesn't bring you, you know, happiness. I've been through a couple of failed marriages, and, you know, the first one was too young and crazy and was married 23 years the first time. The second time was a different situation. I believed in different things and that person did. And so it's just, to be on track now, it's just amazing. It's just unbelievable.
If you were backstage the night before your very first match and this version of you walked in, the veteran Hulk Hogan walked in, and you could ask that version of you for some advice, what do you think he would say? What's the advice you would give to that Hulk Hogan as he was making his debut?
Well, first off, this version of me talking to the Hulk Hogan in 1977, having the first match, would not comprehend anything I would tell him. So I would just say, go out there and get in the ring as much as you can. You're going to have to earn your seat time, you know, because you need to get out there and you need to figure out what this business is all about, figure out if you want to stay in it. And then if you do stay in it, try to figure out a way to survive it, you know, because as I moved along, even though everybody says this is a work, I had a target on my back the whole time. I mean, I had that spot for a long, long time. And, you know, I could hear what was being said good. I could hear what was being said bad. There was all kind of locker room stooges that are Hulk Hogan fans, a lot of locker room stooges that stir stuff up like the Hulkster, you know. And so to survive this business, I mean, you know, I wrestled in Minnesota one time, and Jack Lanza wanted to put the belt on Jesse in the house show. I went, what? Oh, yeah, we think it'd be good. We can tell Vince later. I said, nah, bro, we ain't doing that. Doesn't work for me, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just amazing because especially going into Japan, you know, and spending all those years in Japan, and then all of a sudden Vince coming over and telling Inoki and Sakaguchi that this is the last time Hogan's ever coming here. And then coming to me and going, whatever happens tonight, don't lose the belt. And me, of course, me and Adrian Adonis have been out all night, hadn't slept a wink, and I'm just shaking like I'm getting ready to have a stroke because we've been out partying all night. Vince is going, whatever you do, that Fujinami, who's one of Gotcha's boys, don't lose the belt. I'm going, oh, great, thanks, Vince. It was just those things, surviving this business and learning. The young Hulk Hogan would have never understood what I would tell him at that time, but it's just amazing, you know, that I got through it all, and I've got a lot of friends in the business, and the people that, you know, have bad things to say about me, I got nothing but love for them. You know, I just hope that they realize you're only going to get so much out of those negative stories that you tell over and over. You're going to attract more of that to yourself.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's weird because I've heard some people say some really crazy things that actually didn't happen, and they're sticking to it. So I'm like, okay.
You just let it go. There's nothing you can do about it.
No. I mean, you know, I have done stuff, you know, I mean, like the Jesse Ventura story that's he sticks to about, I went to Vince and told him that Jesse was trying to start a union. I did that, you know. I mean, I was making crazy money. I was getting my break, and then Jesse wanted to have a union where everybody got paid the same.
Yeah.
I said, Vince, guess what Jesse's doing? You know, so he's right about that. You know, if I did it, I'll say I did it. But, you know, there's a lot of stuff that kind of like doesn't bother me, but I pray for those people and say, you know what, everything will straighten out, and they'll learn the lessons I've learned along the way. So it's just really nice to be in smooth waters.
Depending on who you ask, you're either the greatest of all time or you are one of the greatest of all time. Since you are one of the GOATs or the GOAT, who's on your Mount Rushmore?
Well, that's a tough one, you know, because Andre has to be there. There's no doubt about it. Andre has to be there. And there's just not enough headspace there, you know, because up there, you know, it would have to be Ric Flair. You know, I tell Ric Flair, you're the greatest wrestler that ever lived, you know, and I've had other people tell me other things, you know, but as far as I'm concerned with him loving this business and being a complete sellout, he gave up everything. Family, friends, his own health, everything to be in this business. That's kind of crazy type dedication, you know, way more than I could give, you know, and he did it because he loved this business. And plus, he was a top guy like forever, you know, so it'd have to be Andre, it'd have to be Flair, you know, and then, you know, I'm just going with the older guys, you know, because there's some new guys like Seth Rollins who I really admire. You know, Kevin Owens caught my eye really early when a lot of people didn't believe in him. And I saw him down at NXT. I went, oh my God, that brother's got it figured out, you know. And so I'm all over the place with it. But for me, the quick fix would be Andre, Flair, Rock, and Austin. That's the quick fix for me.
Yeah.
Those four guys deserve to be up there.
I mean, four legends right there.
Yeah.
You can put yourself on the Mount Rushmore.
Well, you can put me behind those guys.
Okay.
I just want to be able to draw money with each one of them.
I mean,
because I look at everybody with a dollar sign in their chest.
At what cost do you think it has been to be Hulk Hogan?
I think, you know, sometimes I get treated a little bit differently, whether it's good or bad. Sometimes, you know, like around the beach here, we've got a lot of friends, and my girl Sky will go, oh, let's go out to dinner tonight. And, you know, I said, okay, well, which restaurant do we want to go to? He said, oh, they're calling to make reservations, you know. And then they'll call Sky back, oh, we called, but we can't get in until 9 o'clock. Oh, let me make a call. We're getting in at 7:15, guys. You know, so that's the good part. You know, some of the bad part is like during the steroid trial. Okay, the feds were hell bent on going after Vince. You know, because Vince was doing so great, because the wrestling was so popular. Maybe Vince's character was too arrogant for him. You know, the character on camera. Whatever it was, and they were really going after, you know, the WWF at the time. But to really get the media play, they had to have a poster child. So, you know, they grabbed me, and so, maybe if I'd have been a mid-card guy at the time, they probably wouldn't have done that. So there's good and bad to it, you know, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. You know, it beats working a real job.
I want to thank you for everything that you've done. The pain that you're in right now, it's because of our entertainment that you did it. And I just want to say, on behalf of all fans, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, no, the fans are great. I mean, now more than ever, I appreciate them. I mean, I've always loved the fans. I've always done the best I could to honor them and respect them. But now, as I get a chance to step back and really look at what this is all about, it's amazing how loyal they are, bro. They are like, I mean, you know, it's just, the only thing that scares me is some of the tattoos they get. You know?
Have you seen some bad ones?
I see some of these tattoos where I look like Dracula, you know, and there's some really good ones too. I don't mean to knock the fans' tattoos, but it's just, how do you come home and tell your wife, I've got Hulkamania tattooed across my chest to your wife, you know, or my whole arm is a picture of Hollywood Hogan hitting Flair with a belt, you know.
Because it's for life.
Yeah.
That's why.
But no, it's, the fans have been amazing, and it's like the gift that keeps on giving. It's kind of like, I was telling my son Nick the other day, you know, I still work with the WWE all the time. I just renewed my deal with them, you know. And so,
does that mean we can hear your music hit sometime soon?
I hope so. It's always fun to go out there. Maybe I can hang on to one of the wrestlers to get me out to the ring, but
you could flex a little, right?
Yeah. But it's really crazy because when I was the world's champion, you know, we sold a ton of merchandise. We didn't have the vehicle of the internet and the stuff that they have nowadays, but we sold a lot of stuff, you know, back in the day. The cartoon was very supportive of the merchandise and stuff like that. And, you know, it was kind of strange because I think I had 350 licensees, which were like individual deals, Frisbees, watches, headbands, chalk, kites, potty seats, tennis shoes, whatever it may be. And now that I'm kind of like Jimmy Hart says, well, baby, what's old is new again? What's old is new again? And I said, Jimmy, you're right, because, I've been approving merchandise every day. I get new stuff coming in, and I'm up to like 850,000, like 900,000
pieces of merchandise.
Yes.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry, not 9. I'm mistaken. There's 300 different licensees. I'm up to 900 licensees, not 950,000. I'm thinking wrong. But instead of 300 deals for Frisbees or whatever, it's up to almost 900.
Wow.
Now. Yeah. So it's like, Elvis is still alive. It's kind of scary. Do they know something I don't know? Yeah. So, but it's just amazing how the fans have made this live forever.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. And it's the fans that did it.
I don't ask for a lot of autographs, but the last time that I did an interview with you, I brought a winged eagle.
Yeah.
And I brought a WrestleMania 18 poster.
Okay.
Because of what we talked about earlier. And I got to say, Hulk, I was so impressed that you signed the winged eagle, Hulk Hogan. And without me saying anything, you signed the WrestleMania 18 poster, Hollywood Hogan.
Oh, cool.
And I'm just like, it's just the little details like that. And I just think that's so cool.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
I just want to say thank you. I appreciate you for who you are. Appreciate for your time today. And I end every conversation talking about gratitude because it's such an important part of my life. Grateful. I love that.
Yep. It's the awareness, the Spirit of Christ in you. First time God talked to Moses at the burning
I am that I am.
Yeah. And I have immortal tattooed on my back.
Of course.
That has nothing to do with the immortal Hulk Hogan. That has to do with when you accept Christ as your Savior, you're going to live forever. So I am immortal. So it's pretty cool.
What are 3 things that you're grateful for as we sit here right now?
I'm grateful for life after death and living through my Savior, Jesus Christ. Number one thing. I'm very grateful for my children. I'm very grateful that my kids are good quality people, and I love them to death. And I'm just very grateful that, I have now met someone that can be my soulmate I get to share the rest of my life with. And there's one more thing. I'm grateful that Hulk Hogan has not been forgotten by the fans.
Never.
It's just amazing that it seems like it's just as intense as I always say, the people in New York treat me like I'm still the champion. But that is true everywhere.
Yeah.
They still treat me that way. It's just amazing how the character has just left this mark, on the wrestling fans that they won't let go. So it's really cool.
Now you truly are immortal. You are.
Well, I don't know about all that, but
Can we end with a Mega Powers handshake?
Feel the. Yeah, I'm gonna grab this one.
Felt the power there. Thank you, brother.